Welcome to the World on Water for September 27. And in the last 7 days globally in sailing, the 52 Super Series was in Porto, Cervo. Paul Westlake of North Sails talked to us about the America's Cup. The one-ton cup was in Havre, France. The foiling Italian Moth Championships were held in Italy. In Torbole, the RSXs were on Lake Garda. And Hugo, the sailing Frenchman, goes behind the clipper race. Now, here is day 2 of the 52s in Porto Cervo.
Welcome to day 2. Well, after no racing yesterday because the Mistral was just too strong, well, it's a little bit of a race against time today. We're starting early. The forecast is excellent. We're trying to get in 3 races, but we know the Mistral will build through the day, and so let's go racing.
The winds are moderated a bit. We're just into a sort of reasonable westerly flow, which is being accelerated through the straits, so we're in probably top end conditions by the second race today, so it should be a pretty good day.
Well, we are pretty happy. I feel we will go for 3 races. A bit breezy. Personally, I love that when it's breezy. Then we'll see what happens. Happy to sail at the end.
More than confident. I would say that we did everything we said we needed to do, so we are ready. If that's enough or not, I will tell you this evening.
Conditions fantastic for race 1 then, 16 to 17 knots of breeze, Mistral from the northwest. Off the committee boat onto the line, Sled are first, then Brunello and Preveza also go out to the early right. Platoon go left and lose out significantly. The top mark, it's Sled first, Brunello second, Preveza third. Quantum and Platoon lose out early on. Down at the leeward gate, it's still Sled, Preveza, Quantum and Brunello. And at the finish, Sled win, Preveza gets second and Azura make a nice gain on the final run to get third. Race 2, and it's a more conventional setup for Porto Cervo. The left is good. Allegra start off the pin end of the line along with the Quantum and a Sled. Top mark, it's Allegra leading, Quantum second, Sled third, Azura are down in 6th. Through the leeward gate, Allegra still leading, Quantum a second and Sled third. But on the final run, once again, the win is with Allegra, Sled gets second, Quantum racing third, and a very, very close finish between Platoon and Azura. Platoon just getting it, and Azura just losing by a second. Race 3, well into the afternoon, and the breeze is right up at 21-22 knots on the start line. A very, very even start. Gladiator start off the pin. Azura just up from the pin along with Platoon. Azura and Brunello make a nice early gain. A little bit of a left-hander about halfway up the beat, and they get control of the main part of the group. At the top mark, the boats on the right overstand. First windward mark, then Azura leading Brunello by just a little bit. Phoenix up in the match as well. Platoon a little bit down. Then they're down the final run. Well, Brunello pip Azura on the finish line. Once again, it's down to 1 second. Azura on the wrong side of that second, but they get second. Phoenix get third, and Platoon get fourth.
I think some people might have been caught on the old history of just go left all day, and we thought it was a little bit more open early on, so paid off well for us. Very happy.
We put 5 points on both Quantum and Platoon for the circuit, and we are 1 point behind the leader in this regatta, so we are back in our normal situation.
After 3 races then, Sled leading on 9 points, second are Azura on 10 points, and third Brunello on 15 points. Well, Costa Smeralda then delivering a fantastic first day of racing, winds of 20-25 knots, and great courses all day. 3 races completed in Sled, topping the table. Azura nicely poised as we move ever closer to the end of the season.
America's Cup. 2 boats have been launched.
Yeah.
Come on, give us what you think about what this is all about. They're 2 different boats.
Yeah, 2 very different boats. It's been fun to watch. 18 months to the America's Cup. I remember my first America's Cup back in, I hate to admit it, 1983, with the Mighty Advance. I remember Alan Payne saying to us, one day he said, there's one thing you can't buy in the America's Cup, and that's time. And he was absolutely right. And I know it's a kind of, today it's a throwaway line, but I've been living that paradigm since 1983 in my environment. You know, I really look at that from a personal standpoint and a performance standpoint, business, on the water. You can't buy time. Well, man, the America's Cup is the classic for that. And just look at those two boats. You know, the American Magic boat, very scale, very aero efficient hull, looking for, you know, trying to maximise or minimise the drag and maximise the efficiency once they're up out of the water, versus the Team New Zealand boat. You know, quite a relatively, dare I say it, traditional looking hull. But then you look at the foil packages, the way they both looked at the foil solution, very, very different. So exciting times. I think you know, we're expected to see Luna Rossa by the end of the month. NYYC must only be a couple of weeks away. I mean, by the time you get those four out on the water, I think there's going to be some fun social media watching.
What about your part of the pantomime is the sails?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's happening with the sails and how are they going?
Well, you know, the sails, we treat all that very much in confidence for each of the teams, but yeah, there's plenty of activity for sure. And this double-sided mainsail, I've heard two sides. I've had two people tell me from two different teams, one saying it's more complex than they could have ever imagined, and another saying that when you actually sit back and use a clean sheet of paper, that it's not as much of a challenge as they expected, and pleasantly surprised with the efficiency of the you know, the double-sided soft skin. So, you know, we often talk about trickle down and where that could kind of fit in and where the developments could go further after the America's Cup and further afield. You know, I do believe that if we can get, you know, if we can get increased efficiency from the flying shape and the control, depth and twist control of a mainsail out of this D-section mast and double skin sail, I can see that spreading and kind of having an effect much more broadly than you could ever imagine rigid wings, because the rigid wing is just, you know, it's a tough logistical exercise.
Well, we've seen that with the F50s, haven't we?
Yeah, you look at, you know, if you've got a package like the F50, the GP50 circuit, I mean, you can deal with that. But outside that, I think it's cool to see, you know, I just, you know, saw a little bit of footage of Team New Zealand just hoisting, you know, the double skin mainsail. You know, it was from a long way away, but I thought, well, that's kind of cool. There you go, they've towed out. They've put the boat head to wind, and there they are. Okay, there's a guy up the rig, but we need to have a guy up the rig on a Maxi 72 now because we don't have a halyard lock on them. So, or we're trying to, we have a halyard lock, but we want to save the weight of the main halyard, so we use a spinnaker halyard to hoist the main. I mean, the America's Cup started that, Team New Zealand started that back in 2000. So, I mean, it was kind of cool to actually see, I think the boats actually, you know, towing out and hoisting sails. So I think that'll be part of the game and part of the fanfare of the America's Cup. Seeing how each of the teams actually get off the dock, how they go out, how they hoist their sails. I think there's going to be a greater story than when you think of the America's Cup with the rigid sails. I mean, with the boats all kind of sitting there, you know, crane comes over, wing goes in, and before you know it, they're off doing 35 knots to the start area. There's going to be more of a show and more. I think there's going to be a lot more to watch. And as I call myself perhaps I'm a you know, a more knowledgeable you know, kind of backroom observer. I'm going to find it fascinating, and I think a lot of sailors will, because we'll be thinking more about what they're going through. Are they having to make decisions on mainsails? Do they have different mainsails? How are they making all their decisions with battens and stuff, instead of just, there's the wing, off you go?
Yeah, just put it up and go.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, the New Zealand team went out and went back to the shed. So what do we know what's happening there?
I defer back to my point about you can't buy time, and I think that there's just, you know, a team like Team New Zealand, well, forget Team New Zealand, these America's Cup teams are incredibly good and incredibly structured, and they have plans on what they're trying to achieve, you know, and to me, looking from the outside, that really doesn't mean anything. You know, when you see them actually going sailing, as I said, I watch them kind of hoisting the sails and dropping them. To me, that's a systems check, you know, and they're, you know, all the boats have been, or both boats have been seen towing at 35 knots behind ribs and stuff like that. They've obviously got their different ways of doing system check. You know, American Magic came out of the shed and everybody was watching it for 3+ weeks before it actually, we saw it on the water. Well, Team New Zealand came out of the shed and 3 days later they're on the water. So, you know, you could argue, why did it take American Magic so long to actually go sailing?
Welcome back to the 1 Ton Cup here in sunny Le Havre. We are just about to start race 8. The P flag is just about to go up. There we go. We've got a reaching start here. We're off laid marks this time, so there's a good chance we're going to see a code 0 start. And Alex is just about to fly the drone. I better sit down. It's gone quite a bit lighter than this morning. So different conditions here at the 1 Ton Cup. We've had a heavy regatta so far, and this is lighter airs for race 8. Just looking at the spread there, I can see there's Zephyr all the way behind the committee boat there. Then it's Elvis, Jubilee trying to scrub a bit of speed there. They think they might be early. Then we've got a bunch of boats behind the committee boat, the rest of the fleet. Elvis is spearing towards the line, but at the moment I'd say Ran is probably the closest to the line, or is it Girls on Film? They're in the middle of your picture. Both of them, big bear away down, and there they go, reaching start. Wouldn't like to call that. I think Ran probably just hit the line first ahead of Elvis. And there you can see we've still got some kites flying. They do like the kites here. It's going to be very tight up to that laid mark. We'll stay with this as long as we can. But as I said, it gets a bit bouncy in the rib, and I'm afraid Facebook can't quite handle that. Anyway, another cracking start from Tony Dickens Jubilee, but I can see Ran poking out, just getting ahead of Girls on Film. Jubilee, lovely position here to windward, and already chucking some dirt over Redshift there. But at the moment, Elvis is probably the biggest danger to Girls on Film and Ram. If they can get through to windward, they'll be giving them dirt. So quite a different dynamic, this reaching start. And there you see the leaders, but I'm just going to bring you back here. Look at Zephyr here. That's not a bad shot from an iPhone 10, is it? See Mike Henning and Henry Foster joining us, both racing the class regularly. So Ran just got a nose in front there. Girls on Film, better start to this race. Didn't get such a good start to race 7, but pulled it back to 3rd. And Jubilee in the foreground. Behind them is Elvis. Those 4 boats, I think, 42 South in the mix there somewhere. Yeah, there's 42 South. These boats pulling away. Quite a bit lighter this race than previously. We've had a pretty heavy airs regatta up till now.
Do il benvenuto a tutti quanti, a tutti gli atleti, a tutti gli organizzatori, a tutti quanti che si prodigano per questo evento, che per noi è un evento eccezionale in una cornice così stupenda come il Garda Trentino, come Torbole, e ormai non si abitua mai a questi eventi, però è sempre per noi un onore. Chiaramente colgo anche l'occasione perché devo ringraziare per questo il circolo surf Torbole, che ci mette tantissimo impegno per organizzare questi eventi che sono importantissimi anche per l'immagine nel mondo della nostra città.
We're in Torbole for the 2019 RSX Windsurfing World Championships and the pizza is really good. We are looking forward for the week.
It's beautiful out here. It's an exciting place.
This is amazing.
Welcome everybody to Torbole, to Circolo Sept Torbole for the 2019 RSX Windsurfing World Championships. The event started yesterday with the opening ceremony and the parade through the town of Torbole. Everybody enjoyed the parade and there has been a wonderful night. So we hope that during the week there will be races, wind, sun, and all competitors and coaches and parents and family will enjoy this wonderful place where we live.
Alright, so after having spent 4 months here in Gosport, it's finally time to set sails for real. We're going to London now. The boat is here, the boat is almost ready. Happy to leave, finally. This place, Gosport was nice, but now starts the real adventure. There's Hugo boss there. Beautiful boat.
Traveling. For some people, it's a hobby, a holiday thing. For me, it's the norm. For the past 9 years, I haven't spent more than a year in the same place. I have been on the road to study, to work, to explore, to live in a sense. So casting off the lines from Gosport closes a chapter of 4 months of my life, preparing for a huge challenge to come, racing around the world. And as we cruise quietly up the channel towards London, I try to put things into perspective. Selling my boat, moving to England, training a bunch of newbies to go and race across some of the most inhospitable places on the planet. And well, I can only say I cannot wait to be on the start line. It's gonna be a fun chapter that opens, folks. And neither you or I have any clue about what it's gonna be like.